لك فدخل ما تحت القصا فما كانت إلا ساعة وإذا بولادي الحسين قد أقبل وقال السلام عليك يا أمه فقلت عليك السلام يا ولدي ويا قرة عيني والثمرات فؤادي فقال لي يا أمه إني أشم عندك رايات طيبات كان رايات جد رسول الله صلى الله عليه وآله فقلت من جدك وأخك تحت القصا فدنا الحسين نحو القصا وقال السلام عليك يا جد السلام عليك يا من اختار الله أتأذن لي أن أكون معكما تحت القصا فقال وعليك السلام يا ولدي ويا شافع أمتي قد أذنت لك فدخل معهما تحت القصا فأقبل عند ذلك أبو الحسن علي بن أبي طالب وقال السلام عليك يا بنت رسول الله فقلت عليك السلام يا أبا الحسن ويا أمير المؤمنين فقال يا فاطمة إني أشم عندك رايات طيبات كان رايات أخي وابن أم رسول الله فقلت نعم ها هو ما ولديك تحت القصا فأقبل علي نحو القصا وقال السلام عليك يا رسول الله أتأذن لي أن أكون معكم تحت القصا قال له عليك السلام يا أخي ويا وصي وخليفتي وصاحب لوائي قد أذنت لك فدخل علي تحت القصا ثم أتيت نحو القصا وقلت السلام عليك يا أبته يا رسول الله أتأذن لي أن أكون معكم تحت القصا قال وعليك السلام يا بنتي ويا بذاتي قد أذنت لك فدخلت تحت القصا فلما اكتملنا جميعا تحت القصا أخذ برسول الله بطرف القصا وأومى بيده الجمنة إلى السماء وقال اللهم إن هؤلاء أهل بيتي وخاصتي وهامتي لحمهم لحمي ودمهم دمي يؤلموني ما يؤلمهم ويحزنني ما يحزنهم أنا حرب لمن حاربهم وسلما لمن سالمهم وعدو لمن آدهم ومحبا لمن أحبهم إنهم مني وأنا منهم فاجعل صلواتك وبركاتك ورحمتك وغفرانك ورضوانك علي وعليهم وأذهب عنهم الرجس وطهرهم تطهيرا. اللهم صل على محمد وعلى فقال الله عز وجل يا ملائكتي ويا سكان السماوات إني ما خلقت سمعا مبنية ولا أرضا مضية ولا قمرا منيرا ولا شمسا مضية ولا فلكا يدور ولا بحر يجري ولا فلكا يسري إلا في محبات هؤلاء الخمسة الذين هم تحت القصا فقال الأمين جبرائيل يا رب ومن تحت القصا فقال عز وجل هم أهل بيت النبوة ومعدن الرسالة هم فاطمة وأبوها وبالها وبنوها. اللهم صل على محمد. فقال جبرائيل يا رب أتأذن لي أن أهبط إلى الأرض لأكون معهم سادسا فقال الله نعم قد أذنت لك فهبط الأمين جبرائيل وقال السلام عليك يا رسول الله العلي الأعلى يقرئك السلام ويخصك بتحية والإكرام ويقول لك وعزتي وجلالي إني ما خلقت سمعا مبنية ولا أرضا مضية ولا قمرا منيرا ولا شمس مضية ولا فلكا يدور ولا بحر يجري ولا فلك يسري إلا لأجلكم ومحباتكم وقد آذن لي أن أدخل معكم فهل تأذن لي يا رسول الله فقال رسول الله وعليك السلام ويا أمين ويا الله إنه نعم قد أذنت لك فدخل جبرائيل معنا تحت القصا فقال لأبينا الله قد أوحى إليكم يقول إنما يريد الله ليذهب عنكم رجس أهل البيت ويطهركم تطهيرا. اللهم صل على محمد يا محمد. فقال علي لأبي يا رسول الله أخبرني ما لجلوس هذا تحت القصا من الفضل إن الله فقال النبي والذي بعثني بالحق نبيا واصطفاني بالرسالة ناجيا ما ذكر خبرنا هذا في معافل من معافل أهل الأرض وفي جمع من شيتنا ومحبنا إلا ونزلت عليهم الرحمة وحفت بهم الملائكة واستغفرت لهم إلى أن يتفرقوا فقال علي إذن والله فزنا وفاز شيتنا ورب الكعبة فقال النبي ثانيا يا علي والذي بعثني بالحق نبيا واصطفاني بالرسالة ناجيا ما ذكر خبرنا هذا في معافل من معافل أهل الأرض وفي جمع من شيتنا ومحبنا وفيهم مهموما إلا وفرج الله همه ولا مغموما إلا وكشف الله غمه ولا طالب حاجة إلا وقاضى الله حاجة. فقال علي إذن والله فزنا وسعدنا وكذلك شيتنا فازوا وسعدوا في الدنيا والآخرة ورب الكعبة. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. إن الله وملائكته يصلون على النبي يا أيها الذين آمنوا صلوا عليه وسلموا تسليما. اللهم صل على محمد محمد. الله أكبر جل جلاله. الله أكبر جل جلاله. الله أكبر جل جلاله. الله أكبر جل جلاله. أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله. أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله. أشهد أن محمد رسول الله صلى الله عليه وآله وسلم. أشهد أن محمد رسول الله صلى الله عليه وآله وسلم. أشهد أن أمير المؤمنين وإمام المتقين عليا ولي الله وصي رسول الله وخليفته بلا فصل. اللهم صل على محمد. أشهد أن أمير المؤمنين وإمام المتقين عليا حجة الله على الخلق. اللهم صل على محمد. هيا على الصلاة. هيا على الصلاة. هيا على الفلاح. هيا على الفلاح. هيا على خير الأمل. هيا على خير الأمل. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. لا إله إلا الله. لا إله إلا الله محمد رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم.
المحسن وقد أتاك المسيء. الله أكبر. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. إنا أعطيناك الكوثر فصل لربك وانحر إن شانئك هو الأبتر. الله أكبر. سبحان ربي العظيم وبحمده سبحان الله سبحان الله سبحان الله. سمع الله لمن حمده. الله أكبر. سبحان ربي الأعلى وبحمد ربي صل على محمد وآل محمد. الله أكبر. أستغفر الله ربي وأتوب إليه. الله أكبر. سبحان ربي الأعلى وبحمده ربي صل على محمد وآل محمد. الله أكبر. بحمد الله. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. قل هو الله أحد الله الصمد لم يلد ولم يولد ولم يكن له كفوا أحد. تبارك الله ربي. الله أكبر. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. اللهم إنا نرغب إليك في دولة كريمة تعز بها الإسلام وأهله وتذل بها النفاق وأهلها وتجعلنا فيها من الدعاة إلى طاعتك والقادة إلى سبيلك وترزقنا بها كرامة الدنيا والآخرة. اللهم عجل وليك الفرج. الله أكبر. سبحان ربي العظيم وبحمده سبحان الله سبحان الله سبحان الله. سمع الله لمن حمده. الله أكبر. سبحان ربي الأعلى وبحمده وبصل على محمد وآل محمد. الله أكبر. أستغفر الله ربي وأتوب إليه. الله أكبر. سبحان ربي الأعلى وبحمده وبصل على محمد وآل محمد. الله أكبر. الحمد لله. أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. الحمد لله. الله أكبر. سبحان ربي العظيم وبحمده سبحان الله سبحان الله سبحان الله. سمع الله لمن حمده. الله أكبر. سبحان ربي الأعلى وبحمده ربي صل على محمد وآل محمد. الله أكبر. استغفر الله ربي وأتوب إليه. الله أكبر. سبحان ربي الأعلى وبحمده ربي صل على محمد وآل محمد. يا لطيف يا كريم يرحم عبدك الضعيف الذليل الفقير المسكين. الله أكبر. الحمد لله. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. السلام عليك أيها النبي ورحمة الله وبركاته. السلام علينا وعلى عباد الله الصالحين. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر لا إله إلا الله. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد.
أستغفر الله الذي لا إله إلا هو الحي القيوم ذو الجلال والإكرام وأتوب إليه. أستغفر الله الذي لا إله إلا هو الحي القيوم ذو الجلال والإكرام وأتوب إليه. أستغفر الله الذي لا إله إلا هو الحي القيوم ذو الجلال والإكرام وأتوب إليه.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. اللهم إني أسألك موجبات رحمتك وعزائم مغفرتك والنجاة من النار ومن كل بلية والفوز بالجنة والرضوان في دار السلام وجوار نبيك محمد عليه وآله السلام. اللهم ما بنا من نعمة فمنك لا إله إلا أنت. أستغفرك وأتوب إليك.
اللهم صل على محمد.
استغفر الله. الله أكبر الله أكبر. أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله. أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله. أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله.
صل على محمد وآل محمد.
أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله.
اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد.
أشهد أن عليا ولي الله. أشهد أن عليا وفاطمة وأبناؤهم المعصومين بالحق حجج الله. حي على الصلاة حي على الصلاة حي على الفلاح حي على الفلاح حي على خير العمل حي على خير العمل. قد قامت الصلاة قد قامت الصلاة. الله أكبر الله أكبر لا إله إلا الله. استغفر الله ربي وأتوب إليه من كل ذنب. يا محسن قد أتاك المسيء. الله أكبر. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين. إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين. اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. إذا جاء نصر الله والفتح ورأيت الناس يدخلون في دين الله أفواجا فسبح بحمد ربك واستغفر إنه كان توابا. الله أكبر. سبحان ربي العظيم وبحمده. سبحان الله سبحان الله سبحان الله. سمع الله لمن حمده. الله أكبر. صل على محمد وآل محمد.
الله أكبر. أستغفر الله ربي وأتوب إليه. الله أكبر.
سبحان ربي الأعلى وبحمده رب صل على محمد وآل محمد.
الله أكبر. بحول الله. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. قل هو الله أحد الله الصمد لم يلد ولم يولد ولم يكن له كفوا أحد. تبارك الله ربي. الله أكبر. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. إلهي كفى بي عزا أن أكون لك عبدا وكفى بي فخرا أن تكون لي ربا. أنت كما أحب فاجعلني كما تحب. الله أكبر. سبحان ربي العظيم وبحمده سبحان الله سبحان الله سبحان الله. سمع الله لمن حمده. الله أكبر.
سبحان ربي الأعلى وبحمده رب صل على محمد وآل محمد.
الله أكبر. أستغفر الله ربي وأتوب إليه. الله أكبر.
سبحان ربي الأعلى وبحمده رب صل على محمد وآل محمد.
الله أكبر. الحمد لله. أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد بحول الله. الله أكبر. سبحان ربي العظيم وبحمده سبحان الله سبحان الله سبحان الله. سمع الله لمن حمده. الله أكبر.
سبحان ربي الأعلى وبحمده رب صل على محمد وآل محمد.
الله أكبر. أستغفر الله ربي وأتوب إليه. الله أكبر.
سبحان ربي الأعلى وبحمده رب صل على محمد وآل محمد.
الله أكبر. بحول الله. الله أكبر. سبحان ربي العظيم وبحمده سبحان الله سبحان الله سبحان الله. سبوح القدوس رب الملائكة والروح. سمع الله لمن حمده. الله أكبر.
سبحان ربي الأعلى وبحمده رب صل على محمد وآل محمد.
الله أكبر. أستغفر الله ربي وأتوب إليه. الله أكبر.
سبحان ربي الأعلى وبحمده رب صل على محمد وآل محمد. يا من له الدنيا والآخرة ارحم من ليس له الدنيا والآخرة يا كريم.
الله أكبر. الحمد لله كما هو. أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. السلام عليك أيها النبي ورحمة الله وبركاته. السلام علينا وعلى عباد الله الصالحين. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر لا إله إلا الله.
اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. استغفر الله الذي لا إله إلا هو الحي القيوم ذو الجلال والإكرام وأتوب إليه. أستغفر الله الذي لا إله إلا هو الحي القيوم ذو الجلال والإكرام وأتوب إليه. أستغفر الله الذي لا إله إلا هو الحي القيوم ذو الجلال والإكرام وأتوب إليه. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. اللهم إنه ليس لي علم بموضع رزقي، وإنما أطلبه بخطرات تخطر على قلبي، فأجول في طلبه البلدان، فأنا فيما أنا طالب كالحيران، لا أدري في سهل هو أم في جبل أم في أرض أم في سماء أم في بر أم في بحر، وعلى يدي من ومن قبل من، وقد علمت أن علمه عندك وأسبابه بيدك، وأنت الذي تقسمه بلطفك وتسببه برحمتك. اللهم فصل على محمد وآله، واجعل يا رب رزقك لي واسعا، ومطلبه سهلا، ومأخذه قريبا، ولا تعنني بطلب ما لم تقدر لي فيه رزقا، فإنك غني عن عذابي وأنا فقير إلى رحمتك. وصل على محمد وآله، وجد على عبدك بفضلك، إنك ذو فضل عظيم. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد.
السلام عليك يا رسول الله. السلام عليك يا أمير المؤمنين. السلام عليك يا فاطمة الزهراء سيدة النساء العالمين. السلام عليك يا حسن المجتمع. السلام عليك يا أبا عبد الله الحسين ورحمة الله وبركاته. السلام عليك يا غريب الغرباء وبعيد المدى، السلطان الحسن علي بن موسى الرضا. السلام عليك وعلى آبائك السبعة، وعلى أبنائك الأربعة، وعلى أختك فاطمة المعصومة ورحمة الله وبركاته. السلام عليك يا سيدي ومولاي يا صاحب العصر والأمر والزمان، سيدي الأمان من فتنة الزمان. السلام عليك يا خليفة الرحمن. اللهم أرنا الطلعة الرشيدة بغرة الحميدة، واكحل ناظري بنظرة من إليك، وعجل الفرج وسهل المخرج، واجعلنا من أعوانه وأنصاره والمستشهدين تحت لوائه. السلام عليك يا أهل بيت النبوة جميعا ورحمة الله وبركاته.
اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد.
برائے خوشنودی امام زمانہ بلند تر صلوات. اللہ سر بلندی کی روایت سر کٹانے سے چلی. سر بلندی کی روایت سر کٹانے سے چلی. نفس ایمان یا حسین نفس ایمان تیری نفسیں ڈوب جانے سے چلی. آنے والا لمحہ لمحہ تیری بیعت کر چکا. بات تیری از سر نو ہر زمانے میں چلی. برائے خوشنودی امام زمانہ بلند تر صلوات. اور رولے شہ کربلا کو اور رولے شہ کربلا کو زندگی کا ہے زندگی کا بھروسہ نہیں ہے. جو بھی گرتا ہے اس غم میں آنسو کوئی بیکار جاتا نہیں ہے. جب جلے ہوں گے خیمے حرم کے جب چھینی ہوں گی سر سے ردائیں جب جلے ہوں گے خیمے حرم کے جب چھینی ہوں گی سر سے ردائیں کیا بنی ہوگی سیدانیوں پر کیا بنی ہوگی سیدانیوں پر وہ سما جل سے جاتا نہیں ہے. آؤ رو لیں شہ کربلا کو بہر تعظیم اٹھو اے اکبر پردہ داری کرو میرے دل بر بہر تعظیم اٹھو اے اکبر پردہ داری کرو میرے دل بر آ رہی ہے پھوپھی کی سواری پھوپھی کی سواری جس کا کوئی سہارا نہیں ہے، آؤ رو لے شہ کربلا کو، کربلا میں جو جائے گی زینب کیا بتائے گی بھائی کو زینب، کربلا میں جو جائے گی زینب کیا بتائے گی بھائی کو زینب، چھٹ کے زندہ سے جو آ رہے ہیں، چھٹ کے زندہ سے جو آ رہے ہیں، ان میں بالی سکینہ نہیں ہے، آؤ رو لیں شہ کربلا کو، زندگی کا زندگی کا بھروسہ نہیں ہے، جب مدینے میں جائے گی زینب کیا بتائے گی صغرا کو زینب، جب مدینے میں جائے گی زینب کیا بتائے گی صغرا کو زینب، وہ نشان رسن بازوں پر، وہ نشان رسن بازوں پر، نیل اب تک بھی چھوٹا نہیں ہے، آؤ رو لیں شہ کربلا کو، زندگی کا زندگی کا بھروسہ نہیں ہے، جو بھی گرتا ہے اس غم میں آنسو، کوئی بیکار جاتا نہیں ہے۔ برائے خوشنودی شہزادی کونین بلند تر صلوات اللہ۔
مومن کرام، ایک دفعہ سورہ فاتحہ، 3 دفعہ سورہ اخلاص جملہ مومنین و مومنات بالخصوص شہدائے ملت جعفریہ کے لیے، اور ان مرحومین کے لیے جن کے لیے کوئی سورہ فاتحہ پڑھنے والا نہیں رہا، اسی میں آپ اپنے مرحومین کو بھی شامل فرمائیے۔ یہ ایک اور سورہ فاتحہ کی گزارش ہے، میں کچھ نام لے رہا ہوں۔ سید حسین، مقبول فاطمہ، طاہر حسین زیدی، حسنی بیگم، منظور زیدی، شیریں فاطمہ، عزیز الحسن، سبیح الحسن، مستحسن زیدی، توفیق زیدی، علی زیدی، فصاحت حسین، نکی زیدی، کنیز فاطمہ، ظفر زیدی، روبی عباس، غضنفر رضوی۔ گزارش ہے ایک اور سورہ فاتحہ کی۔ باب العلم بنی ہاشم سوسائٹی کی جانب سے یکم محرم سے جو مجلس اعزاز کا سلسلہ شروع ہوا ہے وہ انشاءاللہ 7 ربیع الاول تک اسی طرح جاری رہے گا. یہ مجلسیں نماز مغربین با جماعت کے ساتھ شروع ہو جاتی ہیں. آپ سے پابندی وقت کے ساتھ شرکت کی اپیل ہے. آج کی جو مجلس ہے اس نبیل اوان صاحب مولانا نبیل اوان صاحب کی آج اس سلسلے کی عشرے کی آخری مجلس ہے. ہم جناب مولانا نبیل اوان صاحب کے بہت شکر گزار ہیں کہ ہماری ریکویسٹ پہ آپ یو کے سے تشریف لائے. مولانا کی صحت و سلامتی اور درازی عمر کے لیے بآواز بلند صلوات. اسی سلسلے میں آج شام کو جناب نبیل اوان صاحب نے یوتھ کے ساتھ ایک کوشچن آنسر کا سیشن رکھا جو بہت حوصلہ افزا رہا. یوتھ کی طرف سے ہمارے بچوں نے بہت سارے کوشچنس پوچھے جن کے مولانا صاحب نے جوابات دیے. کچھ کوشچنس کے جوابات آنسرس رہے وقت کی کمی کی وجہ سے. وہ انشاءاللہ مناسب وقت پہ ہم سے گزارش کریں گے مولانا صاحب سے کہ کسی اور نشست میں یا کسی اور ذرائع سے جو بچوں کے کوشچنس ہیں ان کے آنسرس ان تک پہنچ جائیں گے. باب العلم میں جو تابوت ہے بسلسلہ شہادت امام زین العابدین علیہ السلام وہ انشاءاللہ 24 محرم کو بعد از مجلس اعزا یہاں پہ برآمد ہوگا. تابوت اپنے جینٹس کے ایریے کے بعد ہمارے پارکنگ ایریے میں اور بعد میں خواتین میں زیارت کے لیے جائے گا. باب العلم کی جو ممبر شپ ہے وہ یکم محرم سے 30 صفر تک کے لیے ٹائم لمیٹڈ ممبر شپ ہے. آپ لوگوں سے گزارش ہے ممبر شپ فارم ضرور فل کریں. ممبر شپ کے ساتھ ہمارا فینول فارم ہے اس کو ضرور آپ فل کریں تاکہ باب العلم کے جو منتھلی ایکسپنسز ہیں وہ ہمارے صرف پلج فارم سے ہی پورے ہوتے ہیں. اسی طرح اس میں جو ہمارے فینول فارم ہے اس میں اگر ہمارے کسی مومن بھائی کے یہاں بہن کے یہاں اگر ڈیتھ ہو جاتی ہے تو اس کے تمام اخراجات سوسائٹی برداشت کرتی ہے. اس وقت جو ہمارے فینول ممبر شپ ہے اس میں وہ فیملیز جن کے بچے 18 سال سے کم ہیں وہ بھی کورڈ ہیں. سو آپ سے گزارش ہے کہ آپ اس میں ضرور حصہ لیں. اسی طرح ہر سال جو ہے جب ہمارے ممبرز بنتے ہیں ان میں سے ہم ممبر بننے کے بعد 30 صفر کے بعد ان کا ڈرا کرتے ہیں اور جس برادر یا سسٹرز کا نام اس ڈرا میں آتا ہے اس کو ہم زیارت کے لیے بھیجتے ہیں سوسائٹی کی جانب سے. تو انشاءاللہ اس سال بھی 17 ربیع الاول کو زیارت کا ڈرا ہوگا. تو آپ سے گزارش ہے کہ ضرور ممبرشپ فارم فل کریں. کیا پتہ آپ ہی خوش نصیب ہوں جن کا نام زیارت کے لیے آئے. تو وہ فارم جو ہیں وہ ہماری ویب سائٹ پہ بھی موجود ہیں. لیڈیز اور جینٹس میں فرنٹ ڈیسک پہ موجود ہیں. مجلسوں کے اسپانسر کے لیے دوبارہ یاد کرا دوں اسپانسرز جو پروگرامس ہیں ہمارے مجلسوں کے تمام آپ لوگوں کے ہیلپ اور ڈونیشنز کے ساتھ چل رہے ہیں. جس طرح بھی ہو سکے مجلسوں کو ضرور اسپانسر کریں. اسپانسر کرنے کے لیے ہمارے فرنٹ ڈیسک پہ لیڈیز ڈیسک موجود ہیں, لیڈیز میں ڈیسک موجود ہیں, جینٹس میں ڈیسک موجود ہیں. آپ کو ٹیکسیبل رسید مل سکتی ہیں. اسی طرح باب العلم کے پاس خمس کا اجازت نامہ بھی موجود ہے. آپ خمس دے کے اس کی ٹیکسیبل رسید حاصل کر سکتے ہیں. اس کے ساتھ ہی میں گزارش کروں گا جناب قبلہ مولانا نبیل اوان صاحب سے آپ تشریف لائیں اور آج کی مجلس سے خطاب فرمائیں. بآواز بلند صلوات.
The three brothers along the back on their phones. Yeah, you guys come to the front. I'm talking in English. Center. MashaAllah. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. MashaAllah, la hawla wa la quwwata illa billah al-ali al-azim. حسبنا الله ونعم الوكيل نعم المولى ونعم النصير. ربي اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقهوا قولي. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان اللعين الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله الذي جعل الحمد مفتاحا لذكره وسببا للمزيد من فضله ودليلا على آلائه وعظمته. ثم الصلاة والسلام والتحية والإكرام على النبي الأمي المكي المدني الهاشمي الذي سمي في السماوات بأحمد وفي الأراضين بأبي القاسم محمد. وعلى آله الطيبين الطاهرين المعصومين الهداة المهديين سيما أولهم أمير المؤمنين وآخرهم بقية الله في الأراضين روحي وأرواح العالمين لتراب مقدمه الفداء ورحمة الله على محبيهم ومواليهم وشيعتهم أجمعين ولعنة الله على أعدائهم وقتلتهم وغاصب حقوقهم ومنكري فضائلهم ملعونين. Amma ba'd, for the happiness of Hazrat Zahra Marziya, for the enlightenment of the graves of your marhumin, of the graves of the shuhada, ulama and siddiqeen, for the safety of the followers of Ahl al-Bayt around the world, and for the safety and the hastening of the reappearance of Hazrat Baqiyatullah al-A'zam Arwahun al-Fida, please recite your loudest salawat. All praise due to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the one who is Rahman and the one who is Rahim. We have reached the final lecture in our series on Dua Makarim al-Akhlaq. And I just want to take this opportunity to thank everyone for their kind words, their hospitality, the questions, and also take this opportunity to apologize if in any way, shape or form, through my words, through my actions, I have offended you. It's never my intention to offend, but sometimes when the soul is presented with a reality, it begins to react and feels offense. But if I have offended anyone, please know that it wasn't on purpose, and if you can find it within your heart to forgive me, I would extremely appreciate that, and I will hope that inshallah you all keep me in your du'as, and as you will all be in my du'as as well. Please recite salawat. So our discussion has been around Dua Makarim al-Akhlaq, Dua number 20 of Sahifa Sajadiyah. And the past 3 or 4 lectures have been focused on this particular portion of the dua where the Imam says, Ilahi albisni zinat al-muttaqeen. Oh Allah, clothe me in the clothing of the muttaqeen. And we said that the clothing of the muttaqeen is not a physical clothing that is made up of thread or fabric, but rather it's a metaphorical clothing that is made up of various different moral characteristics that lift and raise and show everyone that this person is from amongst the muttaqeen. And we haven't been through all 22. I said there were 22 characteristics, and thus far we've only been through, I think, 7 of them. So we said the first characteristic was bastil adl, that the muttaqeen are those who spread justice, وَكَظْمِ الْغَيْظِ, and they restrain their anger, they control their anger, وَإِطْفَاءِ النَّائِرَ, and they extinguish the flame of hate, وَضَمَّ أَهْلِ الْفُرْقَةِ, and they bring together those that are disunited, they bring unity wherever they go, وَإِصْلَاحِ ذَاتِ الْبَيْنِ, and they correct any sort of discord, any fallings out that have happened between individuals or within society, وَإِفْشَاءِ الْعَارِفَةِ وَسَطْرِ الْعَائِبَةِ, that they promote the good of people and they talk of good, but at the same time they hide the faults of individuals. And then there are a few more there, but I've skipped forward. Those of you that are following the dua at home, or when you, after the lecture, you go to the dua, there are other ones here that the Imam says, وَلِينِ الْعَرِيقَ and stuff, but we've covered much of that in the previous lectures, so you can extrapolate your own understanding from them. The next line I want to look at when in the sifat of the muttaqeen, the Imam says, وَالسَّبْقِ إِلَى الْفَضِيلَةِ, that they are those individuals that run towards excellence. They run towards fadila. They do everything that they can in order to achieve excellence in their life. They're not satisfied with just a mediocre existence, but rather they try and aspire to being something better. They push harder, they push faster than everyone to try and achieve greatness. I was saying to the youth before when we were sitting that Amir al-Mu'mineen in Nahj al-Balagha, he has one of his sayings where he says that قَدْرُ رَجُلٍ عَلَى قَدْرِ حِمَّتِهِ, says the worth of a man is based upon his sorry? There we go, ambition. I lost the word for a second. You were listening. So, قَدْرُ رَجُلٍ عَلَى قَدْرِ حِمَّتِهِ, the worth of a man is based upon his ambition. What is it that he seeks to achieve with his life? What is it that he lives for? And at the same time, in another narration, Amir al-Mu'mineen says, man simply lives to go out and work, to buy food, to put on his table. His worth, sometimes people are like, oh, no, I just do enough so I can put food on my table. Alhamdulillah, that's enough for me, as long as I have food on my table and I can eat it. Amir al-Mu'mineen says that man, or that individual, whose single most aim in life is that they go to work to put food on their table so they can consume it, he says that individual's worth is equivalent to that which comes out of his backside having eaten that food. Says the mu'min has to live for something greater, has to have greater ambition in life, because you are not created just for this mortal plane. You were created as the best of creation. You were the creation that he said, نَفَخْتُ فِيهِ مِنْ رُوحِي, I blew into him an aspect of my soul. The default position of the human being is to reach perfection, is to reach, if not perfection, then excellence at least, to be the person that possesses these fadila, these fada'il. And so the human being, or the muttaqeen, are those that are constantly in the pursuit of excellence. They're constantly in the pursuit of fadila. They're ahead of other people. But what is this fadila? We always hear about it. This is his fadila, this is his fadail. But what exactly is it? And I'm going to give you 5 different narrations that explain what is fadila, and how we can then try and achieve that within our lives. The first is a hadith from Amir al-Mu'mineen salawatullah wa salamuhu alayhi. He says, whoever gives another person precedence over him, over himself, he should be called a person of fadila. He is a possessor of excellence. The one who gives priority to someone else over himself, over his own right, even though what he was to do, the preference that he gives may be to detriment to himself, but he gives preference to others. Zahra alayhi salam has been fasting for 3 days. Allahumma salli ala. And all 3 days, a prisoner is coming, a captive is, an orphan is coming, someone is coming and knocking at the door, and she, salamullah alayha, is giving all of her food. This is fadila. And Allah sees that, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala reveals the whole of Surah Al-Dahr in praise of her. This is that fadila of Ahl al-Bayt, the one that gives, even though they need that particular thing as well. But because someone comes to their door, they give to them. Abu Fadl al-Abbas was in the Furat. If Abbas had drank from the Furat, nobody would have held it against him. Nobody would have said, oh, why did he drink? That was so terrible. But instead, Abbas picks up the water. Ya nafs min ba'd al-Husayn a'uni. So nafs, what pleasure is in this world after Husayn alayhi salam? Throws away the water, but fills the bag to be able to take it to others. He has the right to drink. He's also thirsty. But he places the right of others and gives precedence to them. And so not only does he become Sahib Fadila, he becomes Abul Fadl, the father of Fadila. Because every single right of his own, he destroyed for the sake of his Imam. He destroyed every one of his rights. Anything that he wanted, he gave precedence to his Imam. He gave precedence to those around him. And so he became Abul Fadl, the father of virtues. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. Amir al-Mu'mineen in the Battle of Siffin, when they reach Siffin, Muawiyah has blocked off the river. Amir al-Mu'mineen, according to the narrations, sends Imam al-Hussein, Abul Fadl al-Abbas and a few other people to go and recapture the river. So they go and they break through the army and they recapture the river in Siffin. Now once they've taken control of the river, Sa'sa bin Sohan comes to Amir al-Mu'mineen, says, Ya Ali, in the same way that Muawiyah cut off water from us, we should now cut off water from him. Amir al-Mu'mineen says, no, we will never cut off. And because of these words that you have said, you will be the one to go to Muawiyah and tell him that the water is open for him to come and drink. And according to narrations, Yazid was also in that army of Muawiyah that were coming to the water to drink from the river. This is fadila. When someone is sahib fadila, this is what it means. The muttaqeen are those that run towards fadila. But the one that is the possessor of fadila is the one who puts aside his own desire, his own want, and he gives precedence to others. And you have people like that amongst us. Individuals who will selflessly sacrifice their time, their money, in order to establish, programs of azar, in order to keep a center like this open. These are all sahib fadila. Nobody does that for their own benefit. Nobody gets up and wants to be the first here and the last to leave for their own benefit. And so at times, we have these individuals that have this fadila around us. And this is something that we need to inculcate, to be more selfless, to be more altruistic, to think of others before I think of myself, to think about others' rights. And how much of others' rights do I actually even think about? How much respect do I have for the words of someone else? How much respect do I have? Well, right now I'm in a conversation with someone, and then, or someone's trying to talk to me, and then I'll be on my phone. Yeah. You know what? Yeah. Great news. This in itself is against adab, right? And so, but it's become a culture amongst us that we're in conversation. Someone's trying to talk to me, and my mind will be elsewhere, and I'll be on my phone, and I'll be distracted by it. Because I've become so obsessed with it. The Holy Prophet, whenever someone would talk to him, he would turn his whole body and pay full attention to that individual. And give them full attention. Not half, because that's in the infringement of one's rights. So to have fadila is all of these various aspects. It's to give priority to someone else over your own right. You put aside what you want, what you desire, in order to make someone else better. And this in reality is ithar. We have sacrifice, that's one thing. But ithar is higher. Ithar is when you give away something that you desperately need as well. When you need something and you give that away in the way of Allah, that is ithar. That's true sacrifice, the height of sacrifice. And that level can only be achieved by the awliya of Allah or by Ahl al-Bayt alayhimus salam. That they give away even when they need. You take the example of Sayyidah giving away her food for 3 days. You take the example of Amir al-Mu'mineen giving away, various things, even though they need it. But they give it to those who need it more. So the first aspect of the one that is the possessor of fadila is that he gives priority to the right of others over himself. Our society has become so self-absorbed. We're all worried about ourselves. And so no one really cares about their neighbor. No one really cares about what's happening in the community. No one really cares about whether someone is struggling, because we're just like, well, it's not my problem. Because these societies that we live in have been geared towards making us selfish. And because of that selfishness, we forgot of our responsibilities to others. You know, it says that your neighbors have rights over you. Someone asked one of the Ma'asum that, who are my neighbors? And he said, 40 houses in every direction. I don't even know the person who lives next door. Forget the 40th house. You know, give me 2 doors down, I don't know who the person is, I don't care. But yet, it doesn't say that whether they're a mu'min or a kafir. It's one of those things that transcends, that to take care of the neighbors, to ask, inquire after the neighbors. So we have to break this shell of selfishness that we find ourselves in, to try and be more altruistic. So that's the first sign of the one with fadila. The second sign, according to narrations, Amir al-Mu'mineen says that fadila, excellence, is that when you have power, you forgive. Zakatul dhafar al-af, the zakat, the charity of success, of victory, is forgiveness. That when you reach a position of power, and you're in a position where now you have dominated over an enemy, now your zakat, now your charity is to be able to forgive the one that wronged you all that time. When you're in that position of authority. Abdullah ibn Ali ibn Hussein, he is the son of Imam al-Sajjad, yeah? And the uncle of Imam al-Sadiq. Son of Imam al-Sajjad, uncle of Imam al-Sajjad, the uncle of Imam al-Sadiq. He comes to Imam al-Sadiq's home. Imam al-Sadiq is sitting with his companions, and he walks in and he starts to curse the Imam. Starts saying all sorts of bad things to the Imam, and the Imam stays quiet. The companions stand up. They want to try and defend the Imam. The Imam says, sit down. This relationship here, what you see here is the same as the relationship. Our example is the same of that of Yusuf and his brothers. This doesn't concern you. Sit down. After Abdullah ibn Ali says as much as he can, he storms away. The next day, again, he comes to the house of Imam Sadiq. Now the companions, as soon as they see him at the door, they come and they say, are you going to say something bad to the Imam again? But this time he's in a different state. Tears in his eyes. He says, no. He comes in, goes to the Imam, he kisses the hands of the Imam, says, please forgive me. Imam says, what happened? He says that last night I saw in a dream that it was the day of judgment. And people were being taken towards heaven. And I went forward, the son of an Imam as well. I went forward to enter into heaven. Rasulullah stood there and said, no, not him. Put him aside. I asked Rasulullah, that what did I do? He says that you disrespected the Hujjah of Allah. And so you cannot enter into paradise. So he comes to the Imam, he says, I realize that you are the Hujjah of Allah. I didn't accept your imamat, but now I accept it. Forgive me. Now the Imam has Zahiri power over him. The Imam says, all is forgiven. It's fine. This is that strength. The true worth, the true fadila of an individual is there. When he is in a position of power, he forgives those. You look at Fath Makkah. You know, people come to the Holy Prophet. They're the ones that stoned him. They're the ones that called him names. They're the ones that made fun of him. They did everything that they could to cause him some sort of trouble. But yet when it comes to him conquering Mecca, he gathers them all and he says, go, you are all freed. You're all freed. When you're in a position of power, one is required now to forgive. And there's so many different examples. You see the example of Hur. He comes out. The other thing is that the other individual as well, to some extent, has some level of humility. Now you look at Abdullah ibn Ali, the person that we were talking about before, has a level of humility. He's seen this dream. Although, small segue here, dreams are not hujjah on us. Yeah? We have a hadith that whenever Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants to tell his abd about khair, atabahu fi manameh. He tells him about good in his dreams. But that dream doesn't become hujjah on anyone else. It's a guidance for you. Some people say, I saw the dream and Imam Zamana said to me, recite 100 times this. So everybody needs to recite 100 times this tasbih. No, that there has no hujjiyat. Nor does all these WhatsApp forwards, have to recite this 100 times or else this bala is going to come. Or if you don't forward it, then this bad thing is going to happen in your life. All of this is rubbish. And this is all like those omens, like the Holy Quran, it says that that your omens, your tayr, they're from you. They're all from you. We have all these crazy omens, crazy superstitions that we have of like upside down shoes and handing me scissors and knives and don't do that. It's all of this atiratu shirk. The hadith says these omens that people hold are shirk. Before people, like in the olden days, they would see a bird in Arabia, so they would call it tayr, right? They would see the birds in the sky and be like, oh, it's an omen, something bad's about to happen. Islam came and said, no, this was all shirk. What are you doing? A slipper upside down is not going to destroy your life. Yeah? Walking near a ladder or walking under a ladder or handing someone a knife like this way is not going to do anything. Or if you're pregnant and going out under the full moon, all of these are omens. And the Imam says atiratu shirk. These are shirk. These are those shirk, they're not even khafi, right? It's not even hidden shirk. It's open. We genuinely believe in these things. Like, it's like, oh no, you're going on travel, make sure you run under the Quran 5 times. Why don't you just read the Quran? That's a bigger protection than walking under it. No, but we have this, like walk here, go back, do sa'i under the Quran. Recite Quran. If you're going somewhere, recite Rabbi anzilni munzilan mubaraka wa anta khairul munzilin. The dua of Nuh alayhi salam. If you're going somewhere, recite Ayatul Kursi. If you're worried about someone doing nadar or magic or something on you, don't hang a Quran around your neck. Recite Mu'awazatayn. Recite Surah Al-Falaq and Surah Al-Nas. Recite Ayatul Kursi. We're like, I need to protect my car. I hang a Quran in the car. And then I crash. I'm like, why didn't the Quran protect me? You hung it in the rearview mirror. You want some magical protection? Read it and it will protect you. Read it and it will cure you. But we've just, all of these things, like that hadith that I mentioned yesterday of Akhir Zaman. It says, La min al-Quran illa darsuh. Nothing will remain of the Quran except the classes. They will send their children to go and read and learn the classes, and then they'll throw them a big party at the end. MashaAllah, my kid finished the Quran, but never again to read it, never again to touch it, never again to ponder over it. It's such a weird culture that we've created. Oh, MashaAllah, our kids, Ameen, he finished the Quran. So what? That isn't fadila. If he acts upon that Quran, yes. But 9 times out of 10, he's probably going to do the same thing as dad. And that was learn how to recite it and then keep it on a shelf. Then when Ramzan comes, maybe pick it up and read it. And this is what it says. La min al-Quran illa darsuh. Nothing will remain of the Quran for them. Just the learning of it. And then after that, no implementation in their life, no pondering over it, no teaching it, no trying to extrapolate from it. It will just be for them like the book of the dead. That's what we've made it. It's very odd. You know, someone dies and we sit around them and reciting Quran, and someone made a good example. You know, in the UK, I'm sure you have it here as well. For your driving, you have a theory test. Right, a written theory, and they give you this book that you've got to like memorize. Okay, this sign means this. This is the code. Don't turn here. Don't turn there. When you see this, you have to do that. Right? And it's like the Quran has benefit for the dead. Please don't think that. But the only time we open it is when someone dies. And it's like taking the theory book after someone's crashed their car and say, right, you should have stopped there, and then you should have done this, and by the way, you should. But the guy's already dead. But I'm reading this Quran to him, and I'm telling him, live a pure life, live this, that, it's going to have barakah. But I'm not pondering over that Quran at all myself. I'm just like, yeah, okay, sorry. And then once that person is buried, so goes the Quran. Or if unfortunately, someone forwards me, which Sapara will you recite? And I'm like, got busted. I'm going to have to recite Sapara now. Because this is what the Quran has become for us. It's become arduous. It's something that we don't want in our lives. It's not part of our lives. We don't pick up the Quran and find joy in reading it. Even though Amir al-Mu'mineen has a khutbah in Nahj al-Balagha where he gives 57 virtues of the Holy Quran. Says this Quran is a spring from which the knowledge of those that seek knowledge is quenched. This is that Quran. وَدَوَاءٌ لَيْسَ بَعْدَ الدَّاء. This is that medicine after which there is no disease. This is a spring that continues to flow. But I, as a Shia of Ali, don't have a relationship with the Quran. And if I have a relationship of the Quran, if I have a relationship with the Holy Quran, then I destroy every qawaid of the Arabic language when I'm reciting it. No, forget tartil, forget tajweed. No. I'm reciting as if I'm reading Urdu. Well, the Quran itself, فَرَتِّلِ الْقُرْآنَ تَرْتِيلًا. Recite the Quran in a measured tone. There is a science to the recitation of the Quran. I'm not talking about the maqamat of qira'ah. That's something different. But the very basics. Where you should elongate a vowel. What is a short vowel? What is a longer vowel? How do I pronounce a qaf and kaf? And I give you examples on the first or second night. So, we're there, we're reciting Ziyarat Waritha, and instead of saying, وَقَلْبِي لِقَلْبِكُمْ سِلْمٍ, we're like, وَقَلْبِي لِقَلْبِكُمْ سِلْمٍ. My dog may be sacrificed, may submit to your dog, Imam. Because we're not pronouncing the qaf. Because I haven't bothered. These are those nuances that we have to learn. Where did we start from? Fadila. So the second virtue of an individual is when he receives power, he learns and he knows to forgive. The third thing in hadith, that whoever stays away from haram and those things that are suspicious, that person is Ahl Fadila. It's a person of excellence. Not just staying away from haram, but also those things that I'm not sure about. Like, maybe it's halal, maybe it's not. It's okay, I'll just do it because it's in the maybe category. So there's no fadila for the individual. It's even those things that are mutashabih, those things that are not, clear for him, whether it's halal or haram, he avoids them. And this is the maqam of al-wara'. Taqwa is one level, the level that we're all trying to get to. But above it is the level of wara'. And wara' has 4 stations. Wara' in its definition means abstinence, to abstain. At the first level, you have wara' ta'biri. The first stage of abstinence is where one abstains from haram. Those things that are haram, just abstains from them. The second is wara' salihin. There, at this level, the individual stays away from those things that are doubtful. He's not sure whether it's halal or haram, not sure whether non-Ahl Kitab touched his food with wet hands or not. It's now doubtful. So at the second level of wara', this person now abstains from that which is doubtful. The third station of wara' is wara'i muttaqeen. Now at this level, the individual will abstain from the permissible, listen to this very carefully, will abstain from that which is permissible, which is jaiz for him, in order to be saved from haram. What is meant by that? I find myself in a situation where something is permissible, to go and see my mu'min brothers. Not just permissible, recommended. But I know when I go there, there is the chance that someone will do ghibah in that gathering. So now though something is permissible and recommended, but I will avoid it because of the chance of haram. I go to a place where it's okay to go to, it's okay to eat there, but there is the chance that I may fall into haram. So I abstain. At the third level of wara', I abstain from those things that are permissible, but may lead to haram. May. Not will, may. And the possibility that something may lead to haram, I avoid that altogether. Then the last level is the wara' of the sadiqeen, the abstinence of the sadiqeen. At this level, the individuals avoids everything that is not to do with religion, that is not to do with his journey towards Allah. Whether that is a jaiz gathering, he doesn't go anywhere where it does not increase. So he meets with mu'mineen, but only if that gathering will bring him closer to Allah. He will avoid everywhere where there is things that are mubah, like they're neither halal nor haram, they're in the middle. So he will only go to those places that can excel him towards Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, cutting off all ties from everything that seeks to distract him from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Ilahi habli kamal al-inqita'i ilayk wa anir absara qulubina bidiya'i nadariha ilayk. Amir al-Mu'mineen Munajat Sha'baniyah, he says, my Lord, allow me, teach me to cut off all those things that seek to distract me from you, so that the eyes of my heart are illuminated by gazing upon your divine light, and that they can pierce through all of those curtains that separate me from you, فَتَصِلَ إِلَى مَعْدِنِ الْعَظَمَ, until I reach the core of your majesty. It is only the sadiqeen that can reach that level. إلهي والحقني بنور عزك الأبهج فأكون لك عارفة وعن سواك منحرفة. The end of Munajat Sha'baniyah, Amir al-Mu'mineen says, oh Allah, connect me to your divine light, so I don't see anything else, don't view anything else. All I see is you and only you, and I'm disconnected from all other things other than you. This is the highest maqam. But this is the maqam that we need to attain. We have to work towards that. If I just stay in between somewhere, and we can achieve that maqam a lot easier, because those that were in the presence of a hujjah, their salah is only worth certain amount. But we have hadith that those that live in the ghaibah of the hujjah, their salah, their ibadat are worth much more than those. you can achieve the levels of Salman and Abu Dharr with less effort than Salman and Abu Dharr. Because you live in the ghaiba of the hujjah of Allah, but yet you still have yaqeen in the hujjah of Allah. So these are the 4 levels of wara. Whoever stays away from haram and that which is suspicious will achieve fadila, will be the individual that has that virtue of excellence within them. The 4th thing says the height of fadila. The height of fadila, the hadith says, is that one kills all his desires, has no desires other than the one of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So everything that they do is only for the sake of Allah. If they eat, it is only enough to sustain their worship. They destroy all of their attachment to the mortal plane. They have no desire for things that are worldly. You know, sometimes even simple thing as I said in the earlier nights, simple thing as hunger. It's there within me. I'm not really hungry, but when someone brings food out in front of me, I'm like, I'm not hungry, but I could eat. And this is indicative of that quwwatul shahwiyya out of control. It can't be controlled. It's my desires. When I can destroy my desire, when I can say something of this member, qurbatan ilallah, truly qurbatan ilallah, not for someone to make a clip of me or a recording of me, or that I go viral, or that my video goes on YouTube, or that people watch me and feel, because the moment I do that, everything is for nothing. It's all wasted. Now I'm just playing to the people. And Yawm al-Qiyamah, God will be like, okay, go to the people who you were reciting for. Go say the thing, you were saying things that they like to hear. Now go and ask them to reward you. The moment you believe yourself to be something, like you think that you're special, or you think that you're worthy of, I don't know, being recorded or going viral, you've already lost the battle. Because your desires are out of control. Desire is not just the one of the body, but rather it is much more. It drives this desire to be known, this desire to be loved by human beings. If we can destroy this desire and make our only desire to be next to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, to have the pleasure of God, then that is how we excel. If we control these desires. Luqman alayhi salam, he says to his son, he says, my son, I have gone through the lives, or I have passed through the prophethoods of over 400 different prophets, and from them I have learnt over 40,000 different hikmah, wisdoms, and those 40,000 wisdoms I have summarized for you in 4 lines. He says, the first thing, Ya bunayya, in kunta fi salah, fahfadh qalbak. This is the first thing, my son. If you find yourself in salah, protect your heart. Don't let your heart wander elsewhere. The awliya of Allah, they can see the heart that wanders. Because your zahir is something, but your batin, your esoteric self, is ever changing. Is forever changing. And so the sins that you commit, at times I said to you that they'll come as a smell from the body, a bad smell. But at times the sins of a person are written on their faces. Not physically written, but their face changes as a result of the sins that they commit. And not every eye can see it. The eyes of the awliya, they talk about it. They can see upon there a vibe that you get, a vision of that face that you see. You know that this is the face of a sinner. And so everything that we do is constantly changing our batini form. Every word that we speak, every desire for attention, every thought that goes through my mind, not only is this self changing, but also the realm of the hereafter. I said to you that realm is the realm of tajassumul a'mal. Every single one of your a'mal on that day will manifest and take a form. Every single thing that you have done will either take a good form or a bad form. In that realm, all of your sins may come in the form of dogs or scorpions or snakes. Your good may come in the form of light. The sixth Imam has a beautiful narration. He says, the day that a person is placed in the grave, the mu'min is placed in the grave, and they cover him up, all of a sudden lights descend inside his grave and begin to defend him against all of the adhab of the grave that is coming towards him. He sees that there are 5 lights, 4 of them bright, but the 5th one is brighter than all of them, that is above his head. So he turns to the first light. He says, "You, who are you? What are you here for?" Says, "I am the manifestation of your salah in the world. All of the salah that you prayed, I have come in a form to illuminate your grave and defend you from everything." Then he turns to the other, "What about you?" He says, "I am the manifestation of every single fast that you did in this world, and I've come to defend you from everything." He looks towards the one at his feet, the 2 at his feet. He says, "What about you? What are you?" They say, "We are the manifestation of your zakat and your khums that you gave." The other says, "I am the manifestation of your hajj, your umrah and your ziyarat that you did. We are here to defend you." Then he turns to the one above his head. He says, "You that are stronger than all of these, you that are brighter than all of these, you that have defended me from more azab than all of these, what are you?" He says, "I am the manifestation of your wilayat of Ali ibn Abi Talib." Allahu Akbar. Ya Rasulullah. Ya Ali. Ya Ali. Ya Abba. The manifestation of the wilayat of Amir al-Mu'mineen in the Akhirah. But for that, فَاحْفَظْ قَلْبَكَ, protect this heart. For this heart cannot play home to anyone but Allah and Ahl al-Bayt. You know, there's a beautiful narration that say the Zainab is sitting on the lap of Amir al-Mu'mineen, and she says to him, "Father, do you love me?" She's only 3 at this time. And Amir al-Mu'mineen says, "Yes, I love you." She says, "Do you love Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala?" He says, "Yes, I love Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala." And then she recites the ayah of the Quran, "Ma ja'ala Allahu li rajulin qalbayn fi jawfih." We have not given a man 2 hearts within his chest. Amir al-Mu'mineen looks towards her. She says, "How can you love me and Allah?" Allah says, "I have not placed 2 hearts inside the chest of a man." Amir al-Mu'mineen looks at her, he kisses her, says, "My daughter, my heart is filled with the love of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and I only love you for the sake of Allah." This heart cannot play second fiddle to anyone else. Allah, it must only house Allah. And so when we stand for salah in front of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, فَاحْفَظْ قَلْبَكَ, the mind that wanders in salah, the form of that ibadah changes. So first thing Luqman says, says, my son, when you stand in salah, maintain your heart, protect your heart. وَإِن كُنْتَ فِي الطَّعَامِ فَاحْفَظْ حَلْقَكَ. Says, my son, when you find yourself in front of food, control what you're putting inside your mouth. Or another version says, وَإِن كُنْتَ فِي الْمَائِدَةِ, says, when you find yourself in front of a meal, control what you're putting in your stomach. You don't have to eat everything that's in front of you. Some people, this is again, it relates back to that desire. My eyes are bigger than my belly. I'll order things that I know I can't finish, but the desire in me is like, oh no, I need to eat more. I'm not. It's not going to be enough. And you see it in Husayniyas and Masajid when Niyaz is happening, and people are piling, especially when like you guys have this like buffet thing that you do here quite often, all piling, and then someone's walking, it's like, whoa, leaning tower of pizza, like, I don't want to drop this, and like double plates and stuff in case someone else, and then half of it is just wasted. This is when that quwwat al-shahwiyya is out of balance, when it's taken over. Then he says, وَإِن كُنْتَ فِي بَيْتِ الْغَيْرِ. The third thing, my son, is when you find yourself in the house of another person, فَاحْفَظْ عَيْنَيْكَ. Control your eyes. Don't look towards the possessions of others, nor don't look towards the namus of others, their women. Control your eyes. Some people have a habit. They go into someone's home and they're like, oh, where did you get this from? Oh, that's nice. Oh, where did you like? They start looking around, start poking and prodding, and oh yeah, how much was this? How much was that? These things are very bad forms, very bad akhlaq. To go and start scanning someone's house and everything around the house. She says, when you find yourself in the house of another, فَاحْفَظْ عَيْنَيْكَ. Control your eyes. وَإِن كُنْتَ بَيْنَ النَّاسِ. And if you find yourself amongst the people, in a crowd of people, فَاحْفَظْ لِسَانَكَ. Protect your tongue. Control your tongue. Watch what it is that you say. Some people's tongues are so out of control. They have this desire to speak all the time. This desire, and they will just say random things that make no sense, and they'll just speak. And everybody's like, is this person ever going to stop? Because they just carry on. Some people just can't, even when there's silence, some people can't sit in silence. And this is another problem that we have spiritually, because we don't find this time in this society to sit and meditate in silence, to sit and do tafakkur and tadabbur in silence. Silence for us feels weird. It's like, why has everyone gone quiet? Who died in here? It's just, for us, it's not enough. We always need noise around us, because our souls have become so noisy with all the different stimuli that we're throwing at ourselves. So then when I try and sit in quiet, and obviously partly the rise of ADHD from the use of tablets, and we're giving our children, it's very, very, like, now I'm putting my psychologist hat on, and that is the effect of tablets on the neural functions of a child is extremely detrimental. Phones and tablets, the way it actually affects their cognitive ability, the progression, their linguistic abilities, their ability to speak. And you see those children that have used it from a very young age, their speech is a lot more delayed. There's a lot of research now. It's all the main stuff that's coming out in all the psychology stuff. Every journal I get every month from the Psychology Societies there's always an article about tablet use and the effect on young brains. So these things are detrimental, and because of that constant need to be stimulated from visual stimuli or other things, we can't then sit in quiet and ponder, because there's so much noise in our minds. We can't sit quietly. You know, some people struggle to even sit for 30 minutes. Even in the majlis, you see, right? Someone has to have a conversation with the person next to them. They can't stay quiet. Some people just have that problem. And so we have to train ourselves to be accustomed to quiet. When we sit quietly and enjoy that silence. Because in that silence, in speaking less, is when we open the bab of hikmah, the doors of wisdom, through speaking less. So the height of fadila is the one who can destroy and suppress his desires. The last point, the fifth part of fadila from Imam al-Sajjad salawatullah wa salamuhu alayhi. Says on the day of Qiyamah there will be a gathering of all the people, and there will be a group of people that will be rushing towards heaven, and the malaika will stop them and they'll say, who are you? Who are you people that have been given a fast track? And they'll say that we are the people of fadl, we are the people of fadila, we had attained excellence in our lives. And the malaika say, what is it that made you so excellent? What is it that gave you this maqam? And they said, the first thing is, we rekindled the ties of our family members that had disconnected and broke off from us. We made the first step to reconnect with them. The second thing that we did is, if anyone ever deprived us of something in life, we never remembered that, and we always helped them at their time of need. We never said, oh, when I needed it, you weren't there to help me, now you've come to me to help. Says, no, we didn't do that. The third thing is that if someone wronged us, we forgave them and we never kept it in our hearts. We forgot about it. They did something wrong to us, we forgave them, we forgot it. You know, now it's like we don't forget things. Someone doesn't turn up to my son's wedding and 20 years later, I'm not going to his son's wedding, you ain't leading up to our son's wedding. All these like deep entrenched issues that we have, it fundamentally comes back to this pride. My pride was hurt, this disease of pride that I have. So it says that we forgave those who wronged us, and we never kept it in our hearts. It says those were our characteristics. The angels say to them, you speak the truth, you may enter into Jannah. And then they all enter into Jannah. We have discussed one of those characteristics of the muttaqeen, where the Imam says the muttaqeen are those that rush towards fadila. They rush towards achieving excellence. We've given you 5 ways on how to achieve that excellence, to understand what is that excellence. And if you want the living examples of that fadila, then that is Ahl al-Bayt alayhi wassalam. That at every point, at every place, they were the benchmark for greatness, for excellence. And that they were there to lift the human being towards that perfection. What is required from us is effort on our part. If I'm not praying salah, then for the sake of the love of Abi Abdullah that is in my heart, I don't want to disrespect my imam, don't want to disappoint my imam, so I'll pray namaz. If I'm not observing hijab, then for the sake of that Lord that has bestowed me with so much fadila, then I'll begin to pray and observe hijab. If I'm not doing my wajibat, for the sake of that Hussein that gave everything to save these wajibat, I will go and I'll fulfill my wajibat. Because otherwise it's just lip service. All of those sacrifices are just lip service. And how many sacrifices did Abi Abdullah give? Not just on the plains of Karbala, but even after the event of Karbala. Not just adults, but children as well. That 4-year-old daughter of Imam al-Hussein alayhi salam, all the time, this attachment towards her father. How difficult would it have been for her to have seen the broken body of her father lying on the plains of Karbala? How difficult is it to see the body of her father without its head and the ribs of the chest crushed into the back? And she threw herself onto the body of her father and she held on to that broken body. And the narrations say that she wouldn't she wouldn't get up from the body. She was crying and holding on to the body of her father. اجتمعت عليها عدة من الأعراب. A group of the Arabs, they surrounded her. A group of the soldiers, they surrounded her. فجروها عن جسد أبيها. They forcefully pulled her from the body of her father. This child of Abi Abdullah, so many dhulm she saw over and over, the slaps and the whips of Shamar, until they reached towards Sham, and there she sees her father's head in a tray, and Yazid striking the lips and the teeth of Abi Abdullah, pouring his leftover wine into the tray near the blessed head of Imam al-Hussein, and there she stands and watches. It was at that moment, at that incident, that they say Rabab, all the way from Karbala, Rabab didn't do anything in Karbala. Rabab stayed within the tent. Ali Asghar was killed. Rabab didn't call out. Aba Abdullah went out into the battlefield. He said salam to Zainab. He bid farewell to the ladies. But Rabab stayed inside. She maintained that role that she had. But now when Rabab reaches to Sham and she sees the head of Abi Abdullah in that tray, and Yazid disrespecting the lips of Imam al-Hussein, they say Rabab could no longer contain herself. She ran forward and she picked up the head of Abi Abdullah and she held it to her chest. My master, for so long I have been separated from you. The daughter of Imam al-Hussein saw this all this time until we reached that prison of Yazid. And that night when she sees her father in her dream, she wakes up, Abata, Abata, father, where are you? Father, where are you? They say to her, Sakina, your father's not here. She says, I just saw him, he was just here. They try and tell her, Sakina, it was a dream, but she carries on crying. The word reaches Yazid that the daughter of Hussein won't stop crying. He says, go, give her the head of her father. Don't think that this was an act of mercy from Yazid. No, he wanted to increase in the pain of this child. Who else gives a 4-year-old child the severed head of her father? They bring it on a tray covered with a cloth. She turns to her auntie. Auntie, I don't want food. I didn't ask for food. I want my father. They pull away the cloth. She sees the severed head of her father. She runs forward and holds onto the head of Abi Abdullah. Abata, Father, tell me who orphaned me at such a young age. Father, tell me who cut the veins of your neck. Father, tell me who covered your face and beard in your blood. They say she laid down. She told her father about everything that had happened. ثم وضع فمها على فمه الشريف. She placed her lips on the lips of her father. ثم ماتت, and she died. Sajjad alayhi salam comes forward. Oh, Auntie Zainab, my sister Sakina has gone. They call a lady for ghusl. She comes in to try and give ghusl to the body of this 4-year-old daughter of Abi Abdullah. As she is about to give ghusl, she comes out from the room crying. She says, who is the elder from amongst you? Zainab alayhi salam steps forward, says, I am the elder. She says, was this child ill in some way? She says, no, she had no illness. She says, why do you ask? She says, there is no part of the body of this child that is not covered in a bruise or a cut. So I wondered whether the child to cry. Says, this is not the sign of illness. This is the marks of ألا لعنة الله على القوم الظالمين وسيعلم الذين ظلموا أي منقلب ينقلبون إنا لله وإنا إليه راجعون. ماتم حسين.
आमोमेन कराम वेरी क्विक ऐलान इंशाल्लाह कल से जो हमारा अशरा शुरू हो रहा है वो मौलाना मोहम्मद अली नजफी साहब इंग्लिश और उर्दू में खिताब फरमाएंगे और यूथ का जो सेशन के क्वेश्चंस आज रह गए हैं उसका दूसरा सेशन भी इंशाल्लाह नेक्स्ट वीक में होगा. डेट और टाइम अनाउंस कर देंगे. बहुत शुक्रिया. या हुसैन.
Ali Ali Akbar Ali 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 Akbar Ali Ali, image of the Prophet Ali Ali, image of the Prophet Ali 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 Akbar Ali 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 Akbar Ali Ali, image of the Prophet Ali, image of the Prophet Ali 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 Akbar image of the Ay Janam, oh Ali Akbar, like your grandfather, so generous, so kind and faithful, patient and truthful and pious. Oh son of Hussein, you always showed the best manners, manners of the Prophet Ali Ali, manners of the Prophet Ali Ali, vision of the Prophet Ali Ali, vision of the Prophet Ali 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 Akbar Ali 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 Akbar Ali Ali, image of the Prophet Ali Ali, image of the Prophet Ali Ali. Ay Janam, as you stood to recite the azan for the final time, cries were heard as they saw the Nabi for the final time. Oh my son, let me say goodbye for the final time. Caller of prayer Ali Ali, caller of prayer Ali Ali, Allahu Akbar Ali Ali, Allahu Akbar Ali 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 Akbar Ali Ali, image of the Prophet Ali Ali, image of the Prophet Ali Ali. Ay Jana, oh Ali Akbar, when you fell in that final fight. Oh Ali Akbar, look at your father's lost his sight. Oh Ali Akbar, look at your mother, how she cries. Yusuf Lela Ali Ali, Yusuf Lela Ali Ali, Allahu Akbar Ali Ali, Allahu Akbar Ali 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 Akbar Ali Ali, image of the Prophet Ali Ali, image of the Prophet. Ali, 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 Ali Akbar, Ali, Ali. Ali Ali Akbar, Ali Ali, सभी है पैगंबर, Ali Ali, सभी है पैगंबर, Ali Ali, Ali Ali
Akbar, Ali Ali, Ali Ali Akbar, Ali Ali,
सभी
पैगंबर Ali Ali, सभी है पैगंबर Ali Ali.
ऐ जाना नजर उठा के तो माँ को देखो, ऐ बेटा क्यों सर झुकाए खड़े हुए हो, ऐ बेटा तुम ही तो मादर का आसरा हो, ऐ बेटा ऐ जाने मादर अली, ऐ जाने मादर अली, सभी है पैगंबर, अली अली, सभी है पैगंबर, अली अली, अली अली
Akbar, Ali Ali, Ali Ali Akbar, Ali Ali,
सभी
पैगंबर Ali Ali, सभी है पैगंबर Ali Ali.
ऐ जाना नबी की सूरत, नबी की सीरत, ऐ अकबर निसार तुझ पे जहां की अजमत, ऐ अकबर पुकारती है तुझे शहादत, ऐ अकबर ऐ गोल अली, ऐ गोल हैदर अली, सभी है पैगंबर, सभी है पैगंबर, अली अली, अली अली अकबर, अली अली
Akbar, Ali Ali, सभी है पैगंबर Ali Ali, सभी है पैगंबर Ali Ali.
ऐ जाना है उम्मे लैला के लपे नोहा, वावेला लहू में डूबा है लाल मेरा, वावेला हुआ है सीने के पार नेजा, वावेला फिदा हो मादर अली, फिदा हो मादर अली, सभी है पैगंबर, अली अली, सभी है पैगंबर, अली अली, अली अली
Akbar, Ali Ali, Ali Ali Akbar, Ali Ali, सभी है पैगंबर Ali Ali, सभी है पैगंबर Ali Ali.
ऐ जाना है खून की प्यासी ये फौज आदा, आ जाओ उतार ज़ैनब तुम्हारा सदका, आ जाओ सदाएं देती है बिन्ते ज़हरा, आ जाओ रिदा अली अली, रिदाए ज़ैनब, सभी है पैगंबर अली, सभी है पैगंबर, अली अली, अली अली अकबर, अली अली अकबर, अली अली, सभी है पैगंबर, अली जाना या हुसैन,
या हुसैन, या हुसैन, या हुसैन, या हुसैन, या हुसैन, या हुसैन, या हुसैन, या हुसैन, چادروں کا نام سن کر رو پڑی بنت علی شام کے دربار میں. چادروں کا نام سن کر رو پڑی بنت علی شام کے دربار میں. چادروں کا نام سن کر رو پڑی بنت علی شام کے دربار میں. واہ جابا کہہ رہی تھی سیدہ کی لاڈلی شام کے دربار میں. چادروں کا نام سن کر رو پڑی بنت علی شام کے دربار میں. چادروں کا نام سن کر رو پڑی بنت علی شام کے دربار میں. کرسیوں پر قاتلان شاہ تھے بیٹھے ہوئے سایہ دیوار میں تھے سب حرم لیکن کھڑے با وفا کو ڈھونڈتی تھی دختر شیر جری شام کے دربار میں. چادروں کا نام سن کر رو پڑی بنت علی شام کے دربار میں. دشت میں بابا کے سر پر جب پڑی اس کی نظر اپنے زخموں کی رہی نہ پھر سکینہ کو خبر دوڑتی بابا کے جانب لاڈلی بیٹی چلی شام کے دربار میں. چادروں کا نام سن کر رو پڑی بنت علی شام کے دربار میں. چادروں کا نام سن کر رو پڑی بنت علی شام کے دربار میں. کون ہے زینب پکارا جس گری فرعون شام ہائے غربت کہہ کے اٹھا تھا میرا قیدی امام اشک خون کے رو رہا تھا شاہ کا بیٹا علی شام کے دربار میں. چادروں کا نام سن کر رو پڑی بنت علی شام کے دربار میں. چادروں کا نام سن کر رو پڑی بنت علی شام کے دربار میں. حکم حاکم نے سنایا مار دو بیمار کو اس جگہ ہی قتل کر دو قافلہ سالار کو. گر پڑی ہی عابد کے اوپر ہائے نازوں سے پلی شام کے دربار میں. چادروں کا نام سن کر رو پڑی بنت علی شام کے دربار میں. چادروں کا نام سن کر رو پڑی بنت علی شام کے دربار میں. یا حسین 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 یا حسین. اللہم صلی علی
محمد متوجہ زیارت. السلام علیکم یا نبی اللہ السلام عليك يا حبيب الله. السلام عليك يا رسول الله. السلام عليك يا حجة الله. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. السلام عليك يا أبا عبد الله الحسين الشهيد. السلام عليك يا ابن رسول الله. السلام عليك يا ابن أمير المؤمنين وابن سيد الوصيين. السلام عليك يا ابن فاطمة الزهراء سيدات النساء العالمين. السلام عليك يا أبو الفضل العباس جميعا ورحمة الله وبركاته. السلام عليك يا غريب الغرباء. السلام عليك يا معين الضعفاء والفقراء. السلام عليك يا شمس الشموس. السلام عليك يا أنيس النفوس أيها المدفون بإرزتوس. السلام عليك يا علي بن موسى رضا الراز بالقدر والقضاء. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. السلام عليك يا صاحب العصر والأمر والزمان الأمان من فتنة الزمان. السلام عليك يا شريك القرآن. السلام عليك يا إمام الإنس والجان. السلام عليك يا مظهر الإيمان. السلام عليك يا كحبة الإيمان. هجل الله تعالى فرجك وسهل الله تعالى مخرجك وزهورك ورحمة الله وبركاته. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد.